Yes, hello folks, welcome back to The Long Dark, episode number 2, or chapter number 2, depending on how you're calling it. Video number 13, the highly significant, because I'm superstitious, so it's always highly significant, number 13. And you join us in camp office, where we left off. I've slept, obviously, to save the game. And the aurora is burning outside, so the lights are flickering on and off. Let's have a quick look where we are on our journal. We need to go and do some fishing. That's what Jeremiah has set us to do with the survival school, so that's our next challenge. We can't move any further till we've finished all of this, so fishing it is going to be, but it is the middle of the night, so what we're going to do is eat some food. We actually have some wolf meat. In fact, we're not tired particularly, so let's do a fire, and we can we haven't got much firewood. There's a little bit of firewood here, but I'm going to use some accelerant because I just want this thing to light. There we go. We have got a bit of firewood knocking about. I think we might also have some books and things lying around as well. And you're going to have to excuse me because unfortunately, as you can probably tell, my voice is still not brilliant. It's better than it was. We'll keep a book because that comes in handy as fire starting material. Okay, so food. We're going to cook this wolf meat. Oh dear, yes, you're going to have to excuse me, folks. As you know, in the last video, I had sort of this laryngitis, really bad sore throat, and lost my voice and all that kind of stuff. It's getting better. It is getting better, but I've now got this horrible, horrible cough, which I just can't get rid of.
So hungry.
Don't worry, we're nearly there. There we go. So we have got plenty of wolf meat. Before we do anything else, let's just eat. I'm going to eat a piece of that wolf meat now. Excuse me. Obviously, that gives us the risk of intestinal parasites. We didn't get it from that, interestingly enough. But yeah, that's the reason why I've not been eating the wolf meat. Right, let's go for 1.5 litres. I think we've got enough time in the fire to do 1.5 litres. And our water, we can also purify. I can purify 1 litre of it. Okay, we'll do that because that'll save us a bit of time. And then we may as well melt another 1.5 litres and then boil it all. And hopefully that will give us plenty of water. I might just need to sling a little bit more fuel on that there fire. Let's chuck that other book on there, just to give us a little bit more fire. And then let's boil the 2 litres that we've got. So that's going to give us plenty of water. There we are. So what we're essentially doing here is stocking up for our fishing expedition. We need to drink, so let's just do that. Stocking up for our fishing expedition, because we're going to need to do a fair bit of trekking. Let's just see if there's anything we can get rid of and anything that we can pick up from our supply container. Okay, that's probably okay. We can leave all of that. Antiseptic. We'll ditch that one, but we'll keep everything else. Clothing, I don't think we're carrying anything we're not wearing. Herbal tea, I don't think we need to be carrying quite so much of that, so let's get rid of some of it. The rest of that we're all okay with. We are carrying a fair chunk of water. But I kind of want to do that. Although, actually, we're going to be lighting a fire out there, aren't we? So, maybe we might be better off leaving some of this water behind. Let's leave a couple of litres behind in this trunk. Now, if you've watched my other playthroughs, you know that I don't normally put stuff in trunks. I normally lay it out on tables so I can find it. But I'm just putting it all in this trunk for this one. Let's get rid of that spare rifle cartridge because we've got 10 loaded in the rifle already. We also have a snare. We need to go and set that somewhere as well. Oh, we've got some guts. Oh yes, because I was doing my little experiment, wasn't I? The curing experiment. So let's just pop that on the ground. Actually, I think it seemed to work for me, in all honesty. So yes, because normally, if you see my other playthroughs, I normally sort of we'll take that book as firewood. I normally lay things out nice and neatly downstairs and up here and all that kind of stuff, but I just haven't been bothering. I've just been putting it all in that trunk. It's very sloppy of me, but there you are. We can find it all easily enough. In fact, to be honest, it's probably better. And I believe... Oh, we haven't looked in this cupboard.
I can always use more food.
More herbal tea. Okay, so... What time of night are we looking at? We are in the middle of the night now, but the aurora is burning. So part of me is actually tempted to duck outside in the darkness. And it is dark, so I hope you guys can see. And do a little bit of firewood gathering. Oh, you really are going to have to excuse me, I'm really still bunged up with this. Cold, flu, laryngitis-y bug. There, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Well, we've got good visibility out here as well. Temperature wise it's quite cold, but we should be okay. So let's go over here. This is a harvestable limb. So we shall do exactly that. It's going to take us an hour. Okay, so we are now getting cold. But we've got ourselves some firewood, so we're going to duck back inside the office now. Warm ourselves back up again. So what we want to do basically is stock up on firewood. So that we can go and basically stay in the fishing hut for a very long time with the fire burning. Okay, I'm pretty conscious you guys can't see very much, but the flashlight works. I forgot about that, because the aurora's burning, the flashlight works. Totally forgot about that. We can break the crate down for some firewood, so we'll do that. I have actually put some water down here as well. Look. Let's move that to a... I'm going to move that over here. Part of the reason why I've not been laying stuff out is because the benches are no longer clear. They used to be completely clear, but they've now got some debris and things on them that I can't move. So it's not quite so easy to lay things out anymore. There's a bit of firewood there, we'll have that. Have I looked in that drawer? Yep. Whetstone there, we don't really need that at the moment. Workbench, we don't really need to craft anything right now. Just having a look for things that I may have missed. Kind of kill the time a little bit really until we can head over to the fishing huts. Don't want to get hypothermia. We are quite hungry. So let's just order that by condition. And we'll have something that's quite low in condition. We haven't actually got... None of the food we've got is particularly bad actually, so... I'm actually tempted to make a run over now to the fishing huts and get ourselves going, because we've got this flashlight. Which will light the way quite nicely for us, so let's go. The flashlight only works when the aurora is active. But we don't actually need it though, do we? Because it's quite bright out here anyway, but we'll keep it because we can use it to scare wolves off. Cattails, we'll have that. We shall have the cattails. Always good to harvest those. Again, I don't tend to go out of my way to go and get them, but if I'm walking past them, I'll pick them up.
My head feels thick.
Yep, I know, it's very cold and we have a frostbite risk. So we're going to head over to the fishing huts. Over yonder. Oh, it does still go down. Okay. Right, we won't leave it on then. I thought it just kind of... Oh, it recharges. Okay, so as it's switched on, the bar's dropping, and then when we turn it off, it recharges. But it only works when the aurora is active. Okay, not sure which fishing hut to go with. I think I'm going to go, because there did used to be doors on these, but I think they've taken the doors off. If I recall from when we came this way before, the doors had gone missing. Unless we just missed the hut that had a door on it. Because they had put doors on some of these. Because that's the thing, I'm fairly sure wolves can't get in here, but...
So cold.
Okay, we have a hypothermia risk. So what we're going to do then, we have a stove, but I tend to light the campfires in the doorway, but there's more risk of it blowing out, I suppose. So we'll light the stove. So we've got cardboard matches, we'll use a cattail, we'll use a book. Oh, I've actually got lamp oil, but I'm not going to use that. Let's just go with the book. The book's pretty good, it gives you a good chance of lighting a fire. Anyway, so
Come on.
we shall use a book. Books always give you a really good chance of lighting fires, so they're heavy, but it's worth keeping one in your inventory as a fire starting material.
I could eat a horse.
Okay, our hypothermia risk is healed simply by just standing in here and trying to light a fire, so that's pretty good. There we go, so we have a fire lit. So what the plan is now is to get ourselves a good long fire going. So we've got an 8-hour fire, give or take there. If I add a stick, that'll tip it to 8 hours. So we've got an 8-hour fire going. I'd like to think standing over here feels like 21 degrees, 24 degrees, 25 degrees, 27 degrees. Oh, awesome. Yep, that's cool. So if we crouch down, we can actually use the torch. Although I'm actually going to have to put the torch away. Oh, we might as well use the pry bar, actually. Save our hatchet a little bit. Should do the trick. Let's break through the ice. I didn't know you could use the pry bar. So yeah, we're doing some ice fishing. So this is how you go ahead with ice fishing in these huts. You have to break through the ice. We've got fishing tackle, and the fishing tackle does break. So we're gonna fish for 5 hours. Did I drink? Hang on, before we do that. I don't want to die of dehydration while we're doing it. And in fact, let's eat a piece of that wolf meat as well. In fact, we might as well go ahead and risk having 2. We don't seem to be getting the intestinal parasites risk. So maybe that's been taken out of Wintermute. Okay, let's fish for 6 hours then. It is dark, so I'm hoping that doesn't have too much of an effect. We have a fish.
Wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Quite a big fish by the sounds of it. Another big fish. That's 4 kilos of fish nearly. Actually, it's probably more like 3 kilos. There's another one. That's a good fish. And another one. Hey, we're doing really well here. I think we've got to get 5. Is it 5 kilos we've got to get for Jeremiah? But obviously any that we can get for ourselves as well. Hey, we've got loads. This is awesome. I don't normally fish, to be honest, because I don't normally get very good yields, but this isn't too bad, actually. I probably need to come and fish more often.
You're slowing me down.
Okay, the only slight snag is I'm now really heavily encumbered, but we've got a lot of fish. We've got more than enough fish to satisfy our requirements. In fact, we can cook some of the spare fish as well, so I don't know if we've got to cook the fish, actually. Hang on. Do we have to cook the fish? Get to camp and place fish meat in the container at Jeremiah's camp and 5 kilos. Well, it hasn't said we've got to cook it. So, what I'm going to do, we'll cook a couple of them, which we can eat ourselves, and then the rest we'll take to Jeremiah. And then any that are left over we can cook on Jeremiah's fire, because that's a free fire. And there we go. So that basically is just... Oh, we harvested some lamp oil. Harvesting lamp oil from fish. Okay, I need to come and fish more often in survival mode. I didn't realise that. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's eat some of this fish. It's not on the radio menu, so we're going to have to come and get it. 420 calories, that's not bad going. In fact, I think I'm going to eat both of them. Get my calorie store all the way to the top. I'll go ahead and drink. Spot on. Now, I have 3 hours left on this fire. Travelling conditions outside are not too bad. I'm pretty smelly with all this fish that I'm carrying, so I'm very attractive to wolves at the moment. But I'm actually thinking with... Oh, there's another fishing line there. We might as well leave that. With this fire still burning quite well, with 3 hours left on it, I'm quite tired. So I'm wondering whether just to do 3 hours of sleep while we're in here. Build our... What's it back up a little bit? Fatigue level. Whilst we're here. Oh, by the sounds of it, that was a bad idea. Well, I'm going to take a torch, but I think it's going to get blown out as soon as I step out the door, but we'll take one. Okay, let's go. Yeah, as anticipated, the torch got blown out as soon as I stepped outside the door. Okay, so what we're going to do then, we will head back to camp office, just to kind of sort ourselves out a little bit, see if there's anything we need to pick up or drop off. And then we shall continue making our way back to Jeremiah to turn in this mission. Or shall we just carry on? What kind of... Are we really heavily encumbered? 9 kilos over. I don't think we're that bad actually. And we've got water, so... And we can make water at Jeremiah's cabin with the free fire. So yeah, that's fine. We'll just carry on, I think, straight to Trappers Homestead. Won't bother ducking into camp office. I don't think there's anything there that we need to pick up or drop off, so... we might as well just carry on. Because again, I have been playing the game really differently to how you're probably used to seeing me play it in survival mode, and this is something that... I suppose it is just down to how I've been playing the game. You probably don't need to play it like this, because when you have these missions, there is no kind of time restriction on them. You can take your time and do what you want. So in theory, you could kind of build up a supply cache and keep yourself going for ages in between going back to Jeremiah and turning in missions. But there's very little point, because it's just not really recording stats. Not in the same way that if we have a look, there's just notes that I can write, there's these things, there's missions, what have you. There's no stats or goals or achievements for long survival like there is in survival mode, so there's no real point in doing it. So I've kind of not been bothering. I've kind of been quite nomadic, and I've not built up a big supply cache in each location. I've literally just been carting around everything that I've been harvesting, but I've sort of started to use camp office as a bit of a repository to drop stuff off, and we've got a bit of a cache going there. I haven't got much firewood now, have I actually?
I can barely walk with this much gear.
But I haven't got much carrying capacity either. That's one thing I am a bit short of, those firewood, because I just use most of it. So whatever we do next, if we come back to camp office, we'll harvest some of these limbs on the way and get some more firewood. It's a bit chilly. Well, it's actually not that cold. It's only -5. Or feels like -5, even with this wind. And here's Dead Wolf. Here's the wolf that we tussled with, that we've partially harvested. I think he will probably disappear in the not too distant future, because there's not very much left on him. Okay, so I have been reading up on the development logs and everything for The Long Dark, and there's a very, very long, almost like press release really. I've kind of been a little bit buried within the game, and I haven't really been following the forums or the community or anything, but certainly from what I can gather, there's been quite a lot of things which haven't been particularly well received with Wintermute. Some of them actually I can kind of understand and I can echo them. And I did have some of these frustrations myself. I just kind of kept it under wraps a little bit with the excitement of Wintermute, and also just kind of wanted to play the game and not not dwell on the negatives, but it looks like there's been a few things that haven't quite been right. I think Hinterland have kind of realised that they got the balance a little bit wrong, and forgetting that Wintermute has been so long in the making that a lot of the players who are going to be picking it up first and playing it are actually going to be really experienced Long Dark players who know all of the survival mechanics and know how the game works. And I think there was a bit of frustration from what I can gather, a bit of frustration from people that the kind of first part of chapter 1 of the game was really quite linear, and it took ages to get through. Was that this tutorial section of the game, which I did comment on way back in the first videos, of it being almost the tutorial area, and we were having to go through all this, and we were a bit restricted in what we could do, and we could only do certain things. And it wasn't until we got to Milton, the actual town itself, that things became a little bit freer and we could go and explore. But again, we were still fairly restricted in this relatively small region. It isn't really until we moved out of chapter 1 into chapter 2 that we've been able to be very free and be able to wander around and do what we want. So I think there was a little bit of frustration that the game was a little bit linear, certainly in its early stages. When you kind of compare it to games like say Fallout 4, which is truly open world and has lots of different options and lots of different ways the game can pan out, the Long Dark hasn't really been like that. It's been a little bit more linear. There's only been 2 NPCs in the game, which is not quite what I was expecting. In complete honesty, it's not. I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit like Fallout 4, where there are random NPCs wandering about, random survivors, and you kind of have to either side with them or not side with them, or kind of decide how you're going to react to people and how you're going to play it. But it hasn't really been like that. It's been quite scripted. I think there was also the thing that I did raise as a little bit of a disappointment for me, that the dialogue sequence are not fully voice acted, not fully animated. I can understand the reasoning why, because there's a lot of work involved in doing that. That's basically what Hinterland have said. It's a lot of work to do that, and it would have slowed up development and things and taken a long time to do full voice acting for all of the various dialogue sections. But kind of acknowledged that people were kind of expecting it and didn't really get it. So that for me was a frustration, but not a deal breaker. It's only a minor thing. But I think that was raised as well. And I think one thing that they did mention is that they had a massive game crash in the lead up to the release of Wintermute, which kind of caused them a lot of development issues and slowed them down quite a lot. So I think what the plan is from this point forward is to take the time, do it properly, do it right. They've said that there's not going to be any firm release dates or even speculative release dates. Okay, that's 2 kilos, 4 and a bit kilos, which is the smallest, that one. So that should turn in that mission, and it has. So what they're going to do, I think, from this point forward, they're not going to give any firm release dates for anything. They're just going to release it as and when it gets ready and it's ready to go. To be honest, I'm not too disappointed with that. I'm quite happy with that. As long as I know development is happening, we get the regular updates to say that it is. I'm good with that. So let's head back in. I don't think we're going to get a cutscene because we haven't for the last few of these that we've done. So you watch this one be the one where we get a cutscene. Oh, okay, cool. So we're back with Jeremiah. We're turning in our mission to do the fishing. What do you want to tackle? Well, we've done fishing. Okay, we've done fishing. So it's hunting now. Okay. Teach him about hunting. Trick is to spot your target, get as close as you can, take a shot and don't miss. Well, that's fairly obvious. He's a bit sarcastic, isn't he, Jeremiah? A few years of practice and you might have a clue. Excellent. I don't have a few years. There's a clearing a few hilltops over from here. I'll mark it on your map. Almost always a herd of deer that winter there. Shoot one and bring them in back here. We'll both know you can feed yourself in the wild. Okay, I'll bite. Remember, if you hit one but don't kill it, you'll have to track it till it drops. Look for blood in the snow and follow its trail. It'll fall eventually and we'll both eat. Good luck. Right, okay, so this is all stuff. I think this... the the whole of the survival school thing, I think, is probably something else that's caused a bit of frustration for people. These are curing, so that answers that Reddit query that we were looking at. I think this is something that does highlight some of the frustrations for people, is that these are all skills that experienced game players are going to know. So it's a little bit of a waste of time to be doing it. In many respects, it just holds up the storyline a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's all stuff that we'd probably be doing anyway. And if I was playing the game in a little bit more survivally type mode, I probably would have bagged all of this stuff, and I would have been able to just drop it in the data and move on. But excuse me. Right, so we've just cooked our fish. I need to sleep. I should actually have picked some water up. That was a bit of a silly thing to not do, but we can make some water quite easily with Jeremiah's infinite fire. We're getting a bit tired as well, so I think we're going to need to sleep before we go any further. So yes, I think there's been a few frustrations with the game. It hasn't quite panned out the way people were kind of expecting. But I think Hinterland have picked that up, and they are thinking of ways of making it better, which I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will over time. Right, okay, so let's have a think about what we're going to do next. So let's have a quick look in the journal. We need to harvest 10 kilograms of deer meat for Jeremiah. So we need to go to the hunting grounds that he's mentioned. So which hunting grounds is he talking about? Those over there. Well, that's Unnamed Pond, isn't it? I think that's Unnamed Pond. So it's a little distance. It's over the hills. We can kind of head that way. It's not too far away. I think we can pretty much just take a straight line across to it. Yeah, that's not too bad. We can get over there. I think it is Unnamed Pond, so that's going to be the hunting area at Unnamed Pond, where we can go and bag ourselves a deer. And obviously we have still got this side mission, which I haven't really bothered doing. I know we're going to be going back to the dam as part of the main storyline. There's also supply caches that we haven't gone and found, so I possibly need to go and have a look for those. I know we're going to be going back to the dam as part of the main quest, so maybe I can do the side mission when we do that before we actually go through the dam properly. We'll see how that pans out. I think we need to sleep before we do anything else. So let's break out the bedroll. Before we do sleep though, let's drink. Food wise, I think we'll be alright, so we'll jump in and we're going to sleep. We're heading up towards evening. The sleep pattern has completely gone and thrown out entirely. I'm going to do an 8-hour sleep. That's going to take us well into the middle of the night. Yeah, we're well in the middle of the night here. But Jeremiah is still up. Does he ever sleep? Yeah, we're well in the middle of the night, but we're looking pretty good. So what I'm going to say, I think, we're going to call it a day for this particular video. Number 13. Apologies, I know my voice is still a little bit funny. It's making it a bit difficult for me to speak, so I'm not really on the ball with this one. But we're progressing through the story mode. We've gone through the next survival school game, the next survival school challenge. I think this is the last one. So I'm pretty sure this is the last one. So once we've done this, I'm hoping this will let us move forward with the main storyline, and we can carry on. I know that the next challenge is going to be to, I suspect it's going to be to bring down the bear. I haven't really. I suspect people have already completed this, but I haven't really researched it or looked into it. I want it to be a surprise. So as we move through, we're going to carry on and we're going to see what we can do. But right now, I am going to say thank you very much for watching as always, and I shall see you again very, very soon for video number 14 in our playthrough of episode 2 of The Long Dark. I shall see you again very, very soon.